afternoon, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we have a severe storm across our area. I wanted to start with kind of a generalized view so that everyone across our area could kind of see what we're looking at here, but we do have this severe storm, and it is making its way. Let me put this into motion for you, kind of orient this a little better. It is moving east-southeast at this point, and you can see the top end of this is moving eastward, but we have had this outflow boundary that has been kind of pulling everything a little bit south. So that's why I say kind of east-southeast at this point. But we have been watching as not only has the hail threat increased with this storm, but the wind threat has been increasing. You can see that the storm is bowing out at this point, and that bow shape is an indication of those increased winds with that storm. Let me put this on the velocity view here, and you can kind of see that as the colors really brighten up here, especially, like I say, right in here, especially as it's about to move into Hillsborough, we start to get a more well-defined gust front as a part of that storm. And so that's what we're watching right now. Obviously, you can see that there's a lot of lightning with that one too. And then if we go to the vertically integrated liquid here, take a look at that. You can see two very distinct hail cores, one moving right into the Hillsborough area and one right there. Looks like that may be just south of Meridian there in Bosque County. So just a couple of things that we're watching today. And we've been talking about the threat of severe weather, and kind of the way this is going right now is really the threat of severe weather is focused for the most part south of Waxahachie and Cleburne. That's been the setup. That's what we talked about yesterday, that it would be kind of focused in that area. I'm going to just quickly adjust this a little bit. Not a lot, not too much. Come back. Okay, there we go. All right. Cameraman issues, right? I'm my own cameraman, so you got to sit and watch while I mess with those things. But this storm is going to continue on. So everywhere it stretches from Grandview on through the Whitney area to Hillsborough, on down south of Meridian. And this is going to continue on to the east. This severe thunderstorm warning continues until, it just covered it up. Okay, 3 o'clock. Right as I was about to say, I've got little bulletins from the National Weather Service that are coming in. I'm very fortunate to be able to set that up, and it's just kind of a little bot that puts everything in one spot. Very convenient. But this continues to move eastward and moving towards Hillsborough. As this goes eastward, it looks to hit maybe from Italy and Milford on south to Abbott and west there, eventually towards Hubbard. Could affect Navarro County as it goes forward as well. And so that's kind of the track of this thing potentially. We'll have to see how long it continues to do that, because as that outflow boundary moves southward, it's been bringing cooler air with it, and so that has helped to push the severe threat southward. Now, if that outflow boundary has run out of gas, then that means that we're going to be stuck with warmer weather across the southern parts of our area, and that would allow this storm a little more freedom to keep going. It is definitely on the upswing right now, and we will watch this to see what it does over the next several minutes. Now, the good news is that I think that the severe weather threat for our area could very well be taken care of and kind of out of here by the time we get to, I would say, it's 2 o'clock now. I would say by 4 or 5 o'clock, if not before then, to be honest with you, the severe weather threat for these areas will probably be done. Now, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that includes Ellis, Johnson, Hill, and Navarro County. So it includes all of our area until 8 o'clock. I don't think that necessarily is going to result in these severe thunderstorms being around until 8 o'clock. I think they will shave that, because if you look at that watch, I think it goes all the way down to the coast. So it's a very large watch to basically, they can adjust it and kind of shave it down as we go forward. So I hear somebody's asking for that hail core. I think they must have jumped in right after we covered that. But here's, if it wants to come, maybe not. sometimes this vertically integrated liquid can be a little finicky. There we go. So again, you can see two pretty distinct hail cores here. We'll kind of zoom in on that area. So here, again, near Hillsboro, really from Itasca to Hillsboro here, that's one hail core, and then one just to the east of Clifton, just to the southeast of Meridian. So these are going to be the areas where hail is more likely, probably looking at up to ping pong sized hail at this point. Could be larger. It could get larger as this storm continues on, but really the greatest risk with this storm, I think right now, is going to be the increasing threat of strong winds. I mean, we're looking at, let's see, the warning was issued for 65 mile per hour winds. So 60 to 70 mile per hour winds possible. And then as we go forward here, it looks like hail they're estimating is around quarter size. So again, ping pong is probably a bit on the larger side for that estimate, but I would say at least quarter to $half sized hail for this storm. Now, looking at the Weather Prediction Center, or rather the Storm Prediction Center, what they have said closer to the coast, that's where we're looking at the higher risk of possibly a few tornadoes and very large hail. That is south of our area. The tornado threat in our area, I think, is fairly low. But speaking generally, severe weather is, I think, at least going to be a part of our day for part of our area. Now, I know that there's events going on at the Texas Motorplex right now towards Ennis, and for the moment, things look pretty good there. I understand, I think they may be changing sometimes. Follow them on social media for any of their updates. But as we go later in the day and later in the afternoon, that allows time for that severe weather threat to continue progressing farther south. So that it only works in their favor. So if you have any plans this afternoon, the more time you give it, the more likelihood you have of at least the severe weather threat moving southward. Now, avoiding rain overall, well, you can see across our area that the bulk of the rain, as far as what we're seeing, is moving eastward right now, and then behind it there's not a lot, but that doesn't mean we couldn't see some more rain form as we get through the rest of the afternoon and the evening. So I don't want to count that out. I think we could still see some rain, even if it's just off and on rain, throughout the rest of the afternoon and the evening hours before we have a very nice weekend on hand. But for the most part, when it comes to the rain, I think we will be able to get at least most of that out of here. And I'm hoping by 7 o'clock there's not a whole lot for me to do, because the Arlington Renegades play at 7 and will be on TV. They're playing up in St. Louis. Unfortunately, I can't see them in person, but I will be able to watch that, and Charlie and I will definitely be paying attention to that game as they take on the St. Louis Battlehawks, which is, it's going to be a tough game, I think. So you can see all the black here, and just a nice big cavity there between Itasca and Hillsboro, right there on 35. So strong winds there. You see this bowing out. So we definitely have increasing winds and increasing hail in this storm. If you have been in Ellis County for the last couple of months, you've probably seen the damage from that March 8th storm. And what happened there was, not only was it a lot of hail in that storm, but the hail was blowing sideways. It was essentially buckshot hail, and you could see the damage on siding on homes that created. So as I'm pretty sure, okay, just checking a message that came in. So looks like in this storm we are, let's see, Saddle Tramp, you said next rad estimated hail size in Eastern Hail Core at 3 to 3.5 inches. Wow, that's quite a jump. Interesting. I'm curious to hear some reports on the ground of hail sizes. Sometimes what the radar is estimating may or may not necessarily be accurate. I've been let down before by following that kind of thing, so I'm always skeptical of what the radar sees. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying I'm usually a little skeptical of that. Just had a flash flood warning that was issued for parts of Bosque and Hill counties. So really, yeah, this whole kind of section here of this storm now included also in a flash flood warning there. So Marla Wool, you're asking about the races at Texas Motor Speedway tonight. Are you talking about Texas Motor Speedway or Texas Motorplex? Because I know those are two very different areas. I'll tell you, Texas Motor Speedway is farther north, They don't really have a whole lot going on there. If you're talking about the Motorplex, I think they may be making some changes to that schedule. You'll have to check with them, follow them on social media for those updates. But the Ennis area, allowing for a little more time, definitely going to be helpful. So Marla, okay, so Texas Motor Speedway. I mean, that's a little farther north than my area here, but my guess would be that, I mean, there's not a lot of severe weather there. It's just rain up in that area right now. It might be some lightning, but I would imagine that things should be, for the most part, okay. But I'm not really plugged into Texas Motor Speedway, so I can't say too much with too much confidence. But this particular storm is bowing out, and we do see that hail core increasing here. So I imagine that wind speeds are increasing and hail sizes are probably increasing as well. We had someone mention that pretty large hail estimated by NextRad Radar. Again, I'm skeptical of that. I want to get some reports from the ground over in the Hillsborough area. Hail just came through Grub Hill, pea size with nickel mixed in. So yeah, at very least going to have pocket change hail. Nickel, quarter, $50 size hail. It's those larger hailstones that I'm more concerned about, and we'll have to see what some of those reports on the ground say. But I am increasingly concerned about this storm because, again, you notice that we are getting that bow shape. And yeah, we're getting several reports of hail in the Hillsborough area there in the comments. But the hail sizes are increasing here, and the wind speeds are increasing. So, like I said, when you have that wind-driven hail, that can really make some issues. Okay, so Jarrett, you're saying ping pong-sized hail in Hillsborough. So yes, we are seeing larger hailstones at this point. Somebody asking about Canton. I mean, this is pretty far south of Canton, and it does look like this storm is going to head south of there. So I wouldn't be concerned about this storm in the Canton area. You're too far north for this one. But this storm moving right through Hillsborough right now, that's going to continue on to the east. So that will be moving towards southern parts of Ellis County, far southern Ellis County, and then western Navarro County will need to watch for this particular storm as we go forward. So here you can see it blowing right through Hill County there and parts of southern Bosque County as well. That's where this thing is going. Now, a question, will this be hitting Ennis? It looks right now like this, some of this heavier rain could clip Ennis, but it looks to me like the heaviest part of this storm will go south of the Ennis area. I'm a little more concerned about Malone, Hubbard, Mertens, that area. Probably moving south of that area, but Blooming Grove to Dawson to Hubbard, Mertens up there, Malone, Mount Calm, over into parts of Navarro County. So that's where I'm expecting this storm to head over the next several minutes as the winds and the hail continue to increase in this storm. I want you to understand, and I want you to remember that you can have dangerous conditions in a severe thunderstorm warning. People tend to think if it's not a tornado, I don't need to pay any attention to it. But if we have larger hailstones that are falling, and we are getting reports of that, I would say at this point, ping pong size, golf ball size hail isn't out of the question at this time. But I would say that, this storm, definitely we need to be paying attention to that as we go forward to the next several minutes. So this severe thunderstorm warning here is set to run through until 3 p.m., but they're going to need to issue a new warning ahead. So that new warning will probably be more of far southern Ellis County, parts of Navarro County, I would say Limestone County there, and of course McLennan County as well. So that new warning, I expect that really any minute now, and as we go forward with this. Jamie, you're saying that you used to think that until the March hailstorm, that was scarier than any tornado you've seen, you've ever been in, and it caused significant damage. Yeah, so I mean, the March 8th storm was a textbook reminder that severe thunderstorms can still do quite a bit of damage. And I mean, you can have the same wind speeds as a tornado in one of these storms. You have these straight line winds. I don't see any rotation there. Let me make that clear. There's no rotation that I see with this storm. At this moment, this is strictly a straight line wind threat moving through parts of Hill County. Now we will have to watch, because sometimes when you can see that bow shape there, sometimes when we have these gust fronts, they can at times just spin up briefly. But I don't see that at this point. I'll tell you that the primary issue, the primary concern with this storm is going to be, number one, the very heavy rain. Obviously, we had that flash flood warning that went into effect until 5:30, but very heavy rain, lightning and thunder, obviously going to be a lot of that, but the large hail and damaging winds are going to be the primary concern with this particular storm as it moves eastward. So if you're downstream from this storm in the Italy-Milford area, the good news is it looks like it's probably going to stay south of Italy and Milford. And then as it continues on, moving towards west and Abbott right now in the next few minutes here, going to be rolling in very soon. Ahead of that, Mount Calm, Hubbard, Dawson, and Blooming Grove. So I would say it may go south of the Blooming Grove area, but especially Dawson, Hubbard, Mount Calm, kind of right here. That's where I would expect this storm to be more intense as it continues to move on to the southeast. So for Dawson, Hubbard, Mount Calm, I would say that storm is probably headed your way in the next 30 to 45 minutes here. If we take a look, I want to see, okay, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So they're clocking this thing as being fairly slow, but I just don't feel like we can really take this seriously as a slow-moving storm. I mean, this thing is moving at a pretty good clip as it begins to overtake 35 here, I-35, and then, so Amanda, you're saying that Abbott is catching it now. So yeah, it's going to be in the Abbott area very soon, basically moving in there now, and then that will continue to move on eastward towards Mount Calm, Hubbard, and Dawson, and eventually possibly parts of Blooming Grove. I think Blooming Grove may be far enough north that you may actually miss out on some of the worst parts of this storm because you can see that it's continuing to move to the southeast. And Tiffany, you're asking about Richland Chambers Lake. It's hard to say. I think Richland Chambers Lake may be far enough to the east that this may not affect that area. But I will say that this particular storm mostly going to be eastern parts of Navarro County. So Mertens, I would say, yes, you're going to be, this storm is moving into the Mertens area now, so you will need to be prepared for strong winds, I would say some smaller hail. The hail core at this point looks like it may just slide south of you, but moving into Abbott now, moving into Bynum very soon, and then Mertens, Malone, Penelope, Mount Calm, Hubbard. So really this whole area of Hill County and then far eastern Navarro County is where we are watching this storm go through right now. Hitting Hillsborough now, and I can see all of your comments in the Hillsborough area that it is very intense there, and that part of the storm moving east-southeast right now. So the good news is that the strongest part of the storm does look to move south of Milford, and at least I would say in Ellis County, you're probably okay, at least for the heaviest part of this storm. You'll still get some of it at least, but the heaviest part of the storm should avoid that area. And then as we go through Bynum, Abbott, West, you're going to get some of the heavier parts of that storm. Caitlin K, I do not have an app. So no apps here at South Metro Weather. You can always follow us on our Facebook page, follow our YouTube as well. If you want Weather Call, which is our system that we work with to alert you if there are severe weather warnings that are issued, you get a text message or an email for the watches and the less urgent warnings, but tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, that sort of thing, you get a call from us. That is in the description here. So let me just publish that weather call. Let me just publish that weather call link so you have that. That might be what you're talking about there. I know there's a lot of questions about where this thing is going to go. So let me just kind of get another kind of broad view here of where this is. So this is parts of Hill County, and now moving into parts of McLennan County, far eastern Bosque County here. So it looks like this is going to stay south of Ellis County here. Ellis County, you'll probably still get some heavy rain from this, but the strongest part of the storm looks to stay south of you. It is heading towards parts of southern Hill County here, so Hubbard, Malone, Penelope, Bynum, those areas. So southern Hill County, that's where that storm is headed next. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning. They need to issue a new warning here. I'm kind of waiting on that. I'm not sure what the situation is. This storm, it may be weakening a little bit here, but I would be skeptical of losing those severe winds at very least here. It still has that bow shape, and then obviously much of McLennan County under the gun for that storm as well. And then as this continues eastward, I would say really the eastern half of Navarro County, I think, could be under the gun for this storm. If you're over in the Kearns area or Richland Chambers or even Corsicana at this point, I think the strongest part of this storm probably stays east of you, but eastern portions of Navarro County, I think you could see the heavier portion of this. Now, Daniel Padilla, you're talking about Rice and hearing about rain in Waxahachie, that kind of thing. So make sure you know where you are on the map. Waxahachie right here in Ellis County, Rice just south of Ennis. So you're kind of detached from the heaviest part of this storm, right? So just keep that in mind, that you're in a position where you're not necessarily in the heaviest part of this. And still getting more reports there of hail in Hillsborough. So yes, that's definitely what we're seeing there. We do have this area of heavier rain in southern Ellis County, but again, that is not part of this stronger storm that just went through Hillsborough, that continues to move towards parts of, I would say southeastern Hill County here. Those are going to be the areas that have the heaviest impact from this. Also, northern McLennan County from Golson on to west. That storm headed that direction in the next few moments here, and really probably moving in as we speak. So let's orient that a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so like I say, just to kind of, again, orient you, this is northern McLennan County, really all of Hill County right now. It's headed towards southeastern portions of Hill County, and then western Navarro County here. So Dawson, Blooming Grove, that area, that part of Navarro County under the gun for this storm as well, eventually moving towards parts of Limestone County there, from Coolidge to Mejia down the line. But for right now, under the gun here is northern McLennan County, southern, southeastern portions of Hill County. And we do have a decent hail core here. We've seen a couple of those. One just moved through Hillsborough, is headed east of there now, and one headed towards the Golson area that just went through Bosque County. It looks like this storm may be cycling down ever so slightly. Possibly, I wonder if that's why they haven't issued a new severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Maybe they're expecting that trend to continue and thinking that will weaken it, but we'll see what this actually does here in the next several minutes. But no new severe thunderstorm warning yet from the National Weather Service. Okay, here we go. There's the new warning that should be coming up here any second now. A new warning until 3:30. There we go. So I was wondering what was happening there. So this will give you a better idea of where to expect these conditions to go. So again, eastern, really southwestern portions of Navarro County, southeastern Hill County, eastern McLennan County, western Limestone County. So this box, this polygon, is your new severe thunderstorm warning. 65-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-sized hail are the concerns with this storm. So it sounds like the hail may be trending downward a little bit, but they're still saying 65 miles per hour winds. So I would say, again, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds can be expected with this storm. It's going to continue on to the east, and they have billed this thing as moving at 25 miles per hour. Let's see where they say now. 30 miles per hour. So they're at least bumping up the speed a little bit. I didn't think that it was going to be, moving that far, that slowly at least. And again, I know that we've got a lot of people from all over the area that are jumping in. This is south of Waxahachie right now. So if you're in the Waxahachie area tuning in, it is south of there. So just rain in Waxahachie for now. The severe storm is really from the southern tip of Ellis County on down into parts of McLennan County, really all the way down to Gatesville. We kind of just have this line that is forming here. And as that moves southward, I think this could potentially be all the severe weather we see today. So as we watch this, as it continues on to the east, southeast rather, east southeast. It's debatable either way for different reasons, but east southeast here, it probably takes the severe weather threat with it. I think north of that, we'll continue to see scattered showers and thunderstorms. We'll see kind of off and on activity, but I think that we may, at least in our area, be limiting the severe weather threat to this complex. So once we get this out of here, I can't guarantee the rain will be done, but I do think that the severe threat will leave with this storm. Michael, you're asking, is there any part of the storm headed northeast? No, not really. It looks a lot like this is, in the Ferris area, you do have a shower going, but it is not a part of this particular storm. So not really, those two things are not really related to each other. And somebody on YouTube wanting to look at the velocity west of Malone. So we'll take a look at that. Just in case we have a little couplet there. We'll watch this here, and as we talked about, on the leading edge of these storms, you can have sometimes these attempts at a little spin up here. We'll take a look at the kind of the trends on this. And yeah, I mean, south of Bynum, there might be something trying to build there. We'll keep an eye on that in case that is, like I say, one of these little spin-ups trying to develop there. Those, can happen. Now, it's pretty frequent sometimes that you see it'll try to do a little spin up, but it's so brief that it doesn't really do anything. So at the same time, though, I have to say that we've seen, tornadoes that will kind of fly under the radar, no pun intended, but they can be so brief that they go kind of in between scans there. So that's the area we're watching. Anytime you get kind of this little notch in the line, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see if that continues to show any signs of circulation or anything like that. But at the moment, doesn't scream, tornadic activity to me at this time. Now, we are a little further away from the radar, so sometimes it can be tougher to see. But for just right now, I'm not that concerned with that area. But it'll be worth watching as all of this moves eastward. So we'll continue to, we'll put this kind of back into motion here. And this is your storm. So as it moves eastward, again, like I say, Mount Calm, Hubbard, Dawson, Penelope in this area, moving through Bynum now, that's going to be the area where we are seeing these storms. And I'm getting a lot of comments about Ferris. And there is a thunderstorm in the Ferris area, but that is not a severe storm at this point. The only severe weather is well south of there, south of Ellis County, in parts of Hill, and McLennan County going to be moving towards parts of Navarro and Limestone County here. So this particular line, realistically going forward, it will continue on and eventually make it south of our area, and we will see that storm continue on to the southeast, where the likelihood of severe weather is higher, where they continue to warm up as we get through the next several hours, and that could bring greater concern there. But again, the good news is that once we get this line out of here, I think the severe weather threat is probably over. Now, we'll still have some storms. I mean, you can see the storm up here near Ferris. You can see one in southern Ellis County here. These are going to be loud storms. But you have to understand, you have to remember that a loud storm doesn't always equate to a severe storm. You have to keep in mind that these things like to make a lot of noise, but those two things do not always equate. So a severe thunderstorm is 58 miles per hour winds or higher, and then an inch or greater in diameter hail. So hail larger than a quarter, and then winds equal to or greater than 58 miles per hour. That's your severe thunderstorm criteria. So just a few things to kind of orient you. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for parts of McLennan, Bosque, and Hill counties here, up into just part of Ellis County. They're really just a small piece. And so that will be expiring here fairly soon. And then we have a new warning here, a new severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 3:30 that will continue to have this storm raging through parts of Hill, Navarro, Limestone, and McLennan County there. I think that's another county there to the south. What was that, Falls County there to the south, just a little part of it. But this storm will eventually make it south of our area, and that, like I say, will take the severe weather threat, at least for the moment, out of our area. I know there's a lot of folks along I-45 from Ferris to Ennis that are asking. We do have a thunderstorm in parts of Ellis County moving through. Looks like Avalon, Bardwell right now. That could move into Ennis. Not a severe storm at this time. As well as the storm in the Ferris-Wilmer area there. That is not a severe storm either. It's going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of lightning and thunder today. A lot of heavy rain. But the only severe weather threat right now is this particular line. Once this complex moves through, I said the severe weather threat will likely to go, it'll likely go with it, but I can't guarantee that there won't be any rain at all after that point. I think there could be some showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two behind all of this tonight, but I think this pretty well it should at least take the severe weather threat with it. Now, I've said that before, and we had storms that formed on the backside of that complex. So I can't necessarily guarantee either way, but I feel pretty good at the moment about saying that, this is the severe weather threat for today. Once it moves south, that will get it out of here. So just looking back at some comments here, Chisholm Ranch saying they're in the storm shelter, better safe than sorry. I completely agree with you. Like I say, we've seen quite a bit of damage from severe thunderstorms this season, so it is definitely worth paying attention to. And Brenda, you say you hear the weather cat in the background. That would actually be the 3-year-old. He's making the noise, not quite the weather cat. He's not in here at the moment. But the 3-year-old definitely is. As I mentioned here, we had someone ask about this. So this area, you can see northwest of Hubbard here, south of Milford. You can see that the green is kind of invading into the red just ever so slightly. But I don't believe I see any kind of imminent rotation at this point. So I think we're okay in terms of that concern here. So give me 1 second here. I'm checking some. Okay. So this was video from yesterday that I was sent of people taking cover under overpasses, and I've preached this many times before, and I'll preach it again. Don't go under overpasses. Don't park under overpasses. You're impeding traffic, which can cause a host of problems by itself. But you could also be impeding first responders. So it's just better. Do not park under overpasses. It's just a terrible, terrible idea to do that. So this storm continuing to move through southeastern Hill County. There's really kind of two segments to this. One of those in northern McLennan County right now, and then one in southeastern Hill County here. So this storm, we've had plenty of reports of hail. Pretty decent hail core moving through Golson right now, down towards Lacey Lakeview on the north side of Waco. But this particular storm moving to the east-southeast right now. So it is progressing at a decent clip here. And so if you're in Hubbard, Dawson, Blooming Grove, Penelope, Mount Calm, those areas, you need to be prepared for this storm with potentially large hail and some damaging winds here. It looks like the wind threat is probably the primary concern at this time. Winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and then hail of quarter to maybe $half size at this point. That's kind of our main concern here. That's what we're paying attention to for this area. Now, farther north in Blooming Grove, Frost area, you're potentially going to get part of this storm, maybe the top edge of it, but it looks right now like that's probably the heaviest part of this storm, at least, will stay to your south. You'll hear this storm for sure, and you may get some heavy rain, but that hail core looks to stay south of your area. I have a question of whether this is going to move into Fairfield County, into Freestone County, so near Fairfield. Eventually I would expect it to move into that area. So it may be another hour or so before it's in the Freestone County area, but I would expect it in parts of Wortham and Teague and Fairfield there. So it will make its way there. We'll take a look at the hail cores here. You can see a very well-defined hail core right there in the Golson area, just near Lacey Lakeview, over in the Waco area, and then another, again, here east of Hillsboro, north of Hubbard, north of Mount Calm, moving towards the Mertens area, eventually moving towards Dawson there. So this is the hail core that we've been watching, and again, it does look to track south of Blooming Grove, south of Frost. So I'm not expecting much there. Now, just keep in mind, if you're hearing thunder, that doesn't necessarily mean that the severe storm is headed your way. We do have other showers and thunderstorms across our area, so those will really be the area of primary focus there. And I'll tell you, this particular storm was just as I was finishing one task and about to go grab some food before I got back down to check this out, it ramped up. So, you know, these storms love to have my attention. They like to catch me right before I get food or something. So they like to torture me that way. And this storm, I mean, you're asking if it's moving towards Malone. Well, it's just about there. So if you're in Malone and you haven't heard anything quite yet, then I would say, you know, you definitely need to pay attention, because that hail core, that strong storm, that severe storm now is headed your way in the Malone area. So if you're not feeling it yet, you will be very, very shortly. There's that radar update showing it's moving right into that Malone area, and here's that other hail core picking up intensity from Golson down to the north side of Waco, just moving into Lacey Lakeview there. So that's going to be moving right across I-35. And as I say that, just a reminder, on the highway, do not park under overpasses. I know it's tempting. I know you want to get that cover, but you're blocking traffic, you're impeding traffic, and you got to make sure that that's not done. Karen Williams down in the Golson Waco area said it just started to hail down there. So they are getting that hail core, and let me know if you see any sizes there. And Javier, you're asking about Frost. Again, looks to track south of Frost. So the severe storm here, you can see, you got to know where you are on that map, right? So you can see the severe thunderstorm warning here. That's going to be your track. And Frost is going to be north of that warning. So no severe weather issues for Frost here, but you could still get some heavy rain, lightning, and thunder in that particular area. So I hopefully I'm caught up on these. If I don't answer your question, then don't be offended. They come in rapid fire on these questions now on the the chat here. So I may not always see every question. So just be patient with me. But that also means you don't have to type it 8 times. I've had that happen a lot too. So just odds are if you hang around and you wait a little while, your question will probably be answered. Like Lizzie Blanco, you're asking about Waxahachie. This is well south of Waxahachie, so just rain for the Waxahachie area. This is all, if you look at the map here, this is all from Italy, Milford on south. So that's the area that we're showing here. So Waxahachie is going to be right off the screen here, just to the north, just rain for now for the Waxahachie area. Back in Johnson County, you're clearing out there. Not much happening there. And then back towards Blum, you're clearing out. Things are calming down in Hillsboro and Whitney, where this thing just passed. Of course, yes, you do see that flash flood warning that is in effect there, I believe, until 5:30. Put this back into motion here, and asking about Corsicana, yeah, I mean, you can see the top end of this severe thunderstorm warning. That's pretty much as far north as that severe weather is expected. So looks to go south of Corsicana at this point. You're not included in that severe thunderstorm warning. So yeah, I would expect it to stay south of that area. And we're getting towards, getting closer to 3 o'clock here. And I want to make a quick note about the school dismissal time, because we're getting into that time here. And if schools do not feel that it is safe for students to go from the school outside to your car, they may very well make the decision to delay school release at that point. Trust those administrators. Trust me when I say that it is much more safe for them to go or it's really to stay in the school than to try to get in a car with you with damaging winds and large hail going on. So just kind of keep that in mind. Vanessa, you're saying kids have a baseball game in Itasca at 6 p.m. Do you think it will be game on and no rain? Any thoughts? I try not to be an event planner here, try not to give you too much specific information, but I will tell you that by 6 o'clock, I expect at least most of this to be wrapped up for the Itasca area here. I mean, it's already starting to clear out. I can't guarantee no more rain. We may still have some scattered showers and thunderstorms behind this main line, but the severe weather at least should be out of our area at that point. Dawson released early today for the storm, so it sounds like the Dawson area may maybe try to get ahead of it. And I imagine, I mean, we're close enough to release time at this point. They probably looked at that and said, yeah, let's just go ahead and wrap that up. So 2 miles west of Hillsborough, emergency management down in Hill County reporting quarter-sized hail. So that was, several minutes ago, but that's consistent with what we saw. So with this storm, we have the confirmation of that. Gulson Emergency Management in McLennan County reporting nickel-sized hail in that area. So in the Gulson area, just reported nickel-sized hail, but I will tell you that I would expect winds and hail sizes to be picking up there in that northern half of McLennan County. And Jeremy saying games in Itasca will probably be canceled due to the fields being flooded. I know that's an issue some places and not others, so I didn't want to assume either way. But yeah, if you're dealing with just organic ground there, yeah, you might be dealing with a cancellation due to all the mud and the water out there. So unfortunately, that could impede some of those baseball games out in that area, but that's just part of spring ball, unfortunately, and unfortunately it's part of really any season here in north central Texas. I mean, you can have those issues going on really at any time. So just, pay attention to what the coaches are telling you in that particular area, and we'll get through all of that together here. So this is our setup here. If you're just jumping in, this is part of our area, really the southern half of our area here. This storm moving through parts of southeastern Hill County, also northern McLennan County now. That severe thunderstorm warning going until 3:30 here, so about another 40 minutes or so. And these storms have a history of producing gusty winds, strong gusty winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and then hail. The largest we've had reported here unofficially was ping pong size hail. The largest officially we've heard is quarter-sized hail. So I would say a safe estimate there is quarter to $half sized hail in our area. Hearing a report that Ferris ISD dismissed at 1. Not sure if that was weather-related or not, but that gave you a jump on the thunderstorm that went through that area earlier. So that is definitely an advantage there. And Renee Hall saying you hate the storm, but the garden is loving the rain. That's absolutely true. I mean, we'll take all the rain we can get here in North Texas. But yeah, I mean, if we can get rain without the storms, that's great. We're going to be looking at more widespread rain next week. The good news is the remainder of today, once this complex moves through, the remainder of the day looks pretty decent here. Looks like maybe we do have drier air that is pushing all of this through. And as that drier air comes in, again, like I said, I can't just completely rule out any kind of rain, thunderstorms. We may still have showers and thunderstorms behind all this, but I think that for the most part we can pretty well expect, for the most part, that most of the rain will be out of here by 4 or 5 o'clock once this complex is allowed to exit here. And this will impact, it's moving into the Hubbard area now. So let's kind of get focused in on our particular area here. So moving into Malone, moving towards Hubbard, towards Navarro Mills Lake, towards Dawson there, and on towards Coolidge eventually. So it's going to avoid the frost area. Looks like it's going to go just south of Mertens, south of Blooming Grove. So this is your line. Again, this is your severe thunderstorm warning polygon. So if you're not in that severe thunderstorm warning, there's nothing for you to worry about. This storm is going to go south of you. So this is the area where I'm seeing some winds that are picking up. We'll take a quick look at the velocity here, see what the winds are looking like. And I would say Still some gusty winds there, maybe not quite as intense as they were earlier. I know you're looking at some green and red here. I'm not immediately seeing anything that has me concerned. This may be some kind of weak, some broad rotation, but I'm not immediately seeing anything that has me concerned about a tornado right this second. I wouldn't be too terribly concerned about that. Now, northern McLennan County, as we kind of broaden this out, that's where we're seeing some stronger winds here. So moving right across 35. Don't park under an overpass, not a good idea there, but we have some increased winds, some larger hail there as well. That's probably the more intense side of the storms that we have seen. Tammy DePaul, yeah, tell my dogs that they think the world is ending. I understand. my dog is the same way. If there's thunder, it doesn't matter how intense or not that storm is, she is flipping out. I can tell her all day long, hey, this is nothing. This is just a routine thunderstorm. She acts like, it's just the worst possible case in the world. So I understand that fully. But yeah, right here towards Hubbard, Dawson area, I'm not thinking there's anything too terribly concerning about rotation right now. But we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, anytime you have these gust fronts, you have to kind of watch those because we sometimes will get those little circulations there. Mallory, you're asking about how Waco looks this evening. Well, once this line goes through, once these storms have moved out of the Waco area, it looks pretty decent. Looks like we may have some more showers and thunderstorms. Unfortunately, in the Waco area, looks like there might be a little bit of 1-2 punch because behind this in the Crawford area, there's one more storm. But once we get both of these kind of rounds of storms through, the rest of the evening should look pretty docile. You may still have some rain out there, but once this is moved through, yeah, Waco looks pretty decent in terms of what to expect there. So this storm north of Waco from Lacey Lakeview on up towards just past Golson there, I would definitely expect large hail, strong winds with that storm. This is probably the most intense storm that we have right now in terms of what to expect in our area. We've just got an update from the Storm Prediction Center, so I want to see what that looks like here. Can we bring that up? Okay, doesn't look like a whole lot of change there from the SPC, so I want to see what that looks like. Yeah, so really not much change, and I would say, this is kind of on the backside of that enhanced risk right now. So as that continues on, once that continues to move southward, they will start to knock folks out of the severe thunderstorm watch, the slight and enhanced risk there. They've already really shrunk the marginal risk there. Everything's going to start kind of calming down as far as those advisories from north to south. Now, we're all still included in that severe thunderstorm watch. I wanted to see if they have updated that yet. I'm sure they probably will do that here in the next few minutes. I would say at least Johnson County and Ellis County can probably be released from the severe thunderstorm watch. I think your severe weather threat is through. For eastern Ellis County, western Navarro County, it's eastern Hill County, southeastern Hill County. Those areas still have that severe weather threat. And obviously we're looking at McLennan County there into eventually Limestone County. Hearing about power outages in Malone, Irene, and Dawson. So unfortunately, yeah, this storm probably knocking out, sounds like it is knocking out some power out there in parts of that area. So that is an unfortunate but sometimes unavoidable byproduct of these storms as they go through these areas, especially some of these rural areas. That infrastructure is not always built to withstand some of these storms. So unfortunately, dealing with those power outages will be a part of these storms. Hopefully, those areas have power restored very soon. And if you're losing power in Dawson, that's probably just due to winds alone, because the heaviest part of that storm may just be getting there. So in the Dawson area, I would say winds are probably to blame most likely for that, unless you have a lightning strike. You could have a lightning strike too that could have hit a transformer or something there as well. But winds will definitely be picking up in the Dawson area here very, very soon. So 3 miles east of Waco, McLennan County, report of nickel-sized hail. So not getting a whole lot of very large hail reports, but as I say, between West and Lacey Lakeview there, maybe in the Belmead area, I would be very, very curious to know what those hail sizes are looking like there, because that hail core is just not letting up. That is fairly intense in that area, and it is just wild where that is tending to go. So we'll kind of do a broader view here, and again, here's our area. Let's see. Okay, so here's that southern severe thunderstorm warning. That's what just came up. And the areas Killeen and Temple, you thought you had enough. Well, apparently we've got more coming today. Yesterday, man, those storms were just ridiculous. But the good news is that from Killeen to Temple, this will move through. I don't think you're going to have storms just sitting there like they were yesterday. That was just wild. But here's our whole area. You can see this storm just south of Ellis County here, moving through part of, we'll take a look at velocity here in just a moment. I know that there's a lot of people probably watching velocity and finding really neat stuff and trying to look at it, but we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. But just south of Ellis County, from parts of Hill and Navarro County on down through parts of McLennan and Limestone counties there, all the way down to Killeen. So this is our little complex here, and we've talked about the threat of severe weather, that, you know, hail and winds were the primary risk, and that's exactly what we're seeing in this line. And if we zoom in on our area specifically here, these storms moving through parts of, like I say, southeastern Hill County, western Navarro County, Hubbard, Dawson, Navarro Mills Lake, that area going to get the heaviest part of that storm. Really the most intense of this is down in the McLennan County area. Could be headed as far north as Mount Calm, and then eventually into parts of Limestone County there. Now again, if we look at velocity, I know that a lot of folks are seeing the red and the green next to each other. But the thing is, while it is there, I'm just not seeing any telltale indicators of rotation here. So I'm not too terribly concerned. I'm not seeing anything that has me really that worried. So I know there's a lot of people that watch this stream that are looking at things and looking for any kind of sign of rotation anywhere, and I'm just not seeing it in that particular storm. So not too concerned about circulation. Sierra Clinton, you're asking how fast is this moving? How long can we expect it to hang out? Well, if you're asking how long it's going to be in your area, I gotta know where your area is to answer that question definitively, but I will tell you it's moving about 30, 35 miles per hour. It's going to continue to pick up speed as it gets more organized and continues to move on to the southeast. But this storm, it's moving at a fairly good clip, 30 to 35 miles per hour. They're not terribly fast, but it's also not terribly slow as these things continue on. So if you're under one of these storms, it's going to feel like a long time, but just give it its time, and it will continue to move through and eventually move out. So not too big a concern there. Kimberly, you're asking, after this passes, are we clear? Well, yes and no. I think the severe weather threat moves out after this does, but farther to the west, you can still see a few showers, maybe a future thunderstorm there or two. So I think we could still see a few showers and thunderstorms behind this line, but I think that once we get rid of this, I think for the most part, we'll be done with the heavier activity, at least with the severe weather. For tonight, they'll start shaving down that severe thunderstorm watch, clearing that out, and we will progress from there. Just checking a few messages on the phone there. Of course, in parts of Limestone County, you can see new development here right ahead of that line, but that line is moving in. Marie Anderson, is there a reason that storms like this happen the most in the spring compared to the summer? Well, I mean, it's a transition period, so we're going from winter to summer, and we still have cold fronts coming in, storm systems coming in, but they're meeting warmer air. Warmer air creates more convection, creates more lift, creates stronger storms just by the nature of it. Now, when you get into the summer, we heat up and high pressure starts to move northward because we're tilting towards the sun, which means that warmer air, those warmer air currents get stronger, and that usually pushes that dome of high pressure in from the south, and at that point, the storm systems start completely going around us. So that's just kind of how that works. And we'll talk about more of that as we start getting into the summer months. Let's see. Rain is fine. Just not wanting to send the hubby to work in a tornado. Well, no tornadoes tonight. We don't see any kind of tornado risk at this point. And driving from Palestine to Athens. At this point, I mean, you can see on the map, if you kind of follow where this is going, looks like it's going to go south of the Palestine-Athens area, at least from what I can tell. Maybe parts of Palestine there. If we go a little farther out, again, here's that storm. So if you follow that track, Palestine might get a northern part of this. Now, that far away, I can't tell you how much more may or may not develop, but it certainly looks to go south of Athens at this point. So, you know, if you're driving north, you're generally driving farther away from where the severe weather will eventually be. So just to kind of give you the information here, west of Hewitt here, you may have to keep an eye on that for possibly some broad rotation there. Nothing immediately concerning there, but just something to keep an eye on. And again, like I said, near Hubbard here, you're seeing some red and green. I'm not seeing any kind of rotation there, but we do still have plenty of gusty winds with this, especially east of Waco. That's where we have to start paying attention there. But yeah, southern McLennan County, I would start paying attention to that area for possibly some rotation trying to develop there. You're probably looking at this little hook here east of Hubbard. I know that there's some guys that are really watching that going, man, is that going to turn into a tornado? Not every hook means rotation. That really looks like another cell just kind of meeting up with that one there, and that just happens to be the picture in time when it happens to be that shape. River Watson, you're sure you already answered this, but just tuned in. Is this the only line of storms today? Yes, this should be the only line of severe storms today, but there could be more showers and thunderstorms going on. Evie Rose, you're asking about Richardson. That's quite a bit farther north than our area, but looks like you have a little thunderstorm there that may go through northern parts of the Metroplex, but for the most part, Richardson, I mean, everything that we're covering is well south of Richardson, so not really expecting any severe weather for that area tonight. So yeah, well south of the Metroplex. Not expecting anything up in the cities. South of the cities, though, in these more rural areas, we definitely have these storms. This is moving into eastern parts of Navarro County. That's going to continue on to the east. The heaviest part of this is in eastern McLennan County right now. It looks like the heaviest part of that's probably going to sail just south of Mount Calm, and then eventually into western portions of Limestone County there. So southern parts of our area definitely getting some heavy weather right now, and just south of Blooming Grove, moving into Dawson right now. Going to be some gusty winds, going to be some hail. Doesn't look like anything particularly catastrophic at this point, but it does look like it's pretty much getting to the point now where we can see at least a focus here on this southern storm. The northern storm, we'll take another look at hail cores here. Yeah, that northern storm, there's still going to be some hail in that one, moving just south of Blooming Grove through the Dawson area, through Navarro Mills Lake, but I will tell you that it doesn't seem too terribly intense at this point. It looks like that hail core has kind of lost some of its steam. Casey, it's sounding real bad here in Silver City right now. So that's just a report from that Silver City area. Let's see. I think I'm getting, before I hone in there, that's not what I'm talking about. So yeah, so Silver City and Navarro County, you're talking, let me see here. That's going to be right off in Navarro Mills Lake, correct? It doesn't want to come up on the map, but yeah, so that's east of Navarro Mills Lake. So yeah, plenty of lightning and thunder here. So Evie, so you said Richardson, but you meant Richland. Okay, well that's a bit of a different deal entirely. Yeah, Richland towards Mejia. I mean, there's nothing going on right now, but it is headed that direction. So I would say in the next 30, 45 minutes or so, you probably will see those heavy to potentially severe thunderstorms moving your direction. So just keep that in mind. You're kind of on the edge of that warning there. but that will, again, we'll probably have a downstream warning that will include that area here fairly soon. But I would say really the severe weather threat at this point, this is a heavy thunderstorm moving through parts of Navarro County right now, but I think the most intense activity here is in eastern McLennan County. That's probably going to be the primary concern. Gusty winds, small hail for sure in parts of our area. Emergency management reporting that back at Lacey Lakeview, there was some, that was at 2:52, so that was only about 15-20 minutes ago, that there was a report of quarter-size hail in Lacey Lakeview. So even though we're getting pretty interesting, pretty impressive echoes there, or replies in the radar, and then we're only getting quarter-size hail reports there. So it's maybe not quite as intense. I think somebody said earlier that NextRad was estimating 3-inch hail, and I'm always kind of skeptical of that size hail, at least from those NextRad estimates, but fortunately it looks like maybe we're going to luck out there at this point. Let's see. It looks like K. Phillips headed towards Gun Barrel or Palestine. Looks like well south of Gun Barrel. Palestine may be kind of on the northern edge of this storm as it goes through. Katie Petty asking, is Ellis County getting any more? Red Oak area has cleared up. Just rain and maybe a few thunderstorms in the Ellis County area. We'll broaden this again, probably stay with this view, because I know that there's folks from all over this area wondering about their areas, and when I'm zoomed in, as I tell people, if I'm not talking about your area, no news is good news. Because it's a little like if the principal knows your name, obviously there's a reason for that. But hey, if I'm not talking about your area, no news is good news, because if I am talking about your area, there's probably something going on there. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go forward there. But this is our complex of strong to, in some areas, severe thunderstorms. Those 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, those go, at least this warning goes until 3:30 there, I believe. Yeah, I believe both of these go until 3:30 p.m. there. So the storms definitely seem to be ramping down a little bit in Navarro County. So it looks like the storms in our part of the area, not quite as intense right now. They could intensify as they continue to move on to the southeast as they go forward. And to be honest with you, like I said before, I do think that the severe weather threat will continue on to the southeast, but I think that we will be relegated just to some scattered showers. You can see more rain popping up behind all of this. So I won't say that the rain is completely gone, but I do think that we will probably see those storms subside a little bit, or at least the severe weather threat subside for our area. Lee, you're asking, are the storms going to be bad when they hit the East Coast? I have not looked at anything for the East Coast, so I honestly couldn't tell you. Kim Cordell, you're asking, do I work for a news station? I do not. Completely independent here at South Metro Weather, so I just kind of do my own thing. No news station has picked me up or anything, so I don't imagine they hire people that look like me too much. I'm probably not. I don't really have a good news figure here, so that's one of the few reasons why they probably have not hired me at this point. And I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth, there are some rock star meteorologists up there, so that's very competitive in that area. And I'm rocking the independent operation right now, so I think I'll stay here, and things are working out pretty well here at South Metro Weather. You can see that there's some new development here where there's probably some outflow that has ignited some new storms in parts of Falls and Limestone counties there. And so that is probably getting ready to kind of refresh this line and go forward from there. And so as all this continues on, again, moving through Killeen right now, the Killeen area doesn't need anything. It does not need any... they don't need any of this right now. They had more than their fair share yesterday, but unfortunately there are storms moving through there. Lee, do the weather report with a beer in your hand. We've done that already, at least once. and people got way too excited over that too. But I've had a beer or two on air, and you know it's one of those things where I think that was like day 5 of a 7-day stretch of just nonstop storms. That, you know, at that point I just said, you know what, we're just going to try to enjoy this a little bit. Brittany, you're saying the wind is picking up in Abilene, but you don't see anything on radar. Well, I mean, you've got storms to your south, so you could be getting some outflow, some of the cooler air out of that storm in the Abilene area, but there's also some cooler air pulling in from behind this. So just the fact that winds are picking up a little bit doesn't necessarily mean there's a storm in your area. Kimla, you said you learned about South Metro weather from Evan Andrews. Yeah, Evan Andrews is a good friend of mine. Evan is great. He is a wonderful meteorologist. He knows his stuff. He does honest work, and not only is he a hero of mine, he's kind of a mentor of mine as well. So I really appreciate the referrals there. He's shared my stuff a few times, and it's always humbling to kind of get his endorsement there. Sounds wild in Dawson right now. Yeah, I mean, in the Dawson area, you're getting ready to kind of, you've still got some heavy storms there for sure. Lots of lightning and thunder, some gusty winds, and some probably some small hail at least in that area. We can zoom in on what we call our core area here, Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Navarro counties. In this case, just, you know, Hill and Navarro, which is where the storm's going through. And you can see a little bit of a rotation here. If you're noticing that, you can see that kind of evident in the way that this is kind of wrapping around. So the thing is, this is not a tornadic rotation. This is probably forming what we would call a mesoscale convective vortex. So that's where it's essentially like a miniature low pressure system. So that could be kind of forming here, and that would make sense at the head of this line. So a little bit of a meteorology there, but yes, in the Dawson area, you've got some, maybe that hail core looks like it could be ramping up a little bit. Plenty of lightning and thunder there as well, probably some gusty winds too, all as part of that storm. So, asking about Evie, or asking about Richland, is like we said, the Richland area, I'm pretty sure, yeah, so it takes a little while sometimes to get those to come up, but yes, Richland, Wortham area, as I said before, it is headed that direction, and so if you are in the Richland area, Wortham, Mejia, Groesbeck, it is headed your direction. You'll kind of be next on the list here for this storm. Rachel Hurst, we've not had any tornadoes in this area, just very heavy, sometimes severe thunderstorms across this area. These severe thunderstorm warnings do go until 3:30, so they go for about another 15 minutes here. And thank you, Claudia, for your Cash App donation there. Greatly appreciated. And Navarro County Emergency Management reporting nickel-sized hail north of Dawson. So that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be that area right there. So nickel-sized hail reported just north of the Dawson area, where we said that little hail core was kind of picking up intensity there. And 1 mile west of Belmead several minutes ago reported quarter-size hail. So it sounds like that McLennan County storm was pretty much focused on the kind of the quarter-size variety of hail for the most part. So that at least provides some clarity there. I honestly thought that could have been more intense, but it looks like things were not quite that terrible over in northern McLennan County, which is a good sign. It's a good sign that, you know, things did not get quite as intense there. But yes, from Richland to Wortham, Mejia, and Groesbeck, that's going to be kind of the next area to get these storms moving through Dawson and Coolidge right now. So southeastern Navarro County, northern half, really most of, at this point, most of Limestone County, going to be getting kind of that next round of severe weather at this point. Just checking the phone here. Okay. So let's check out these hail cores again. Yeah, it looks like the hail is definitely intensifying here in parts of southeastern Navarro County. So you can see those hail cores definitely picking up. That gray is generally where you're going to see the more severe hail. So I won't be surprised if we start to see the hail sizes cranking up here. We got the report from emergency management of nickel-size hail, probably looking at quarter-size hail next. So I think that storm, it weakened for a little while, but they do tend to ramp up at times. So I think that that's probably what we're looking at. Just a report of pea-sized hail at Navarro Mills Lake. Looks like that just got started up and getting a few reports of that. So Navarro Mills Lake reporting just pea-sized hail, but I won't be surprised if that's on the increase. At least the volume of the hail, if not the size of the hail in that area for sure. So we'll get back to the reflectivity here. Kind of again do a broader look. And again, if you're behind all of this, like I say, in parts of Johnson County, Ellis County, more showers and possibly a few thunderstorms there for the rest of the evening. But the good news is that the severe weather has moved south of you there. Really from Corsicana north, I mean, you're north and east, you're not really going to see much in terms of the severe weather. It looks like there might be a little bit of a heavier thunderstorm right there near Alma and Rice, but really nothing other than that there. But, Hill County, things are clearing out there fairly soon. And then Navarro County. So just southeastern Navarro County right now included in that warning. Between Waco and Groesbeck, that's going to be where you have some of the more intense weather going on there. And Streetman there, I believe Streetman is, just to make sure. So I understand there's a lot of folks. There you go. Okay. Sometimes I have to zoom way in to get some of those smaller communities. So Wortham, Richland, Streetman, this area, I know you're all watching this storm. It is headed your direction. So just be prepared for gusty winds, 60, 65 miles per hour. Hail could be a nickel to quarter size in this particular storm. It does look like it may be intensifying. So just keep in mind that as it heads towards Richland, Wortham, Curvin, Mejia, those areas down to Teague, this is a severe thunderstorm that is headed your way. We haven't had any tornado issues today at this point. Really, it's just been focused on straight line winds, strong winds. Again, 60 to 65 miles per hour, possibly 70 in some areas, and then the large hail aspect. And when I say large hail, we haven't really had anything larger than quarter-sized hail reported officially. A lot of quarters and nickels out there, essentially, has kind of been the focus of this across that area. So still no changes at this point in the severe thunderstorm watch that I know of. So the severe thunderstorm watch still includes parts of Ellis and Johnson counties. Frankly, I'm waiting for the National Weather Service to update that. I don't think Johnson and Ellis counties really have a severe weather risk at this point. I think that for the most part, we're probably done with that at this point, unless they're expecting more storms to develop behind this, which I don't really expect that at that point. But let me just go ahead and check on another screen here. I mean, I'd be surprised to see any more severe weather for tonight. Yeah, I'm not really expecting that. A few more showers and thunderstorms are possible, but I'm not expecting severe weather at this point. So Kim Lopez asking if we are done with rain after this. I don't know that we're done with rain, but we're probably done with the severe weather after this moves through. And again, most of our area is done with the severe threat at this point. It's just southeastern portions of Navarro County that really have to worry about the severe threat at this time. So that's kind of what we're watching there. Hearing a report of dime-sized hail in parts of Dawson, so South Dawson. It looks like it was mostly the north side of Dawson that had the larger hail. So that's probably I would say, dime-sized hail in South Dawson. I would say north of Dawson, probably some heavier, larger hail sizes north and east of there. That's going to be really probably the bigger area of concern. And then we'll continue to monitor all of this as it moves through parts of Navarro County. But once it clears there, our area is done with the severe weather for tonight. And we have 3 nice days. We have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday that look quite nice. Now, off to the east here, look at the other side of the radar, we are starting to see more development here from, near Palestine to Crockett over to Jacksonville. Starting to see more development out there. So that's where we're going to see more storms pop up as the evening goes on. And of course, all of this activity will continue on to the east going forward there. So just keep that in mind as you go through the next several minutes here, next several hours, I would say, that east of this area, you do still have those storms coming your way. And then for southern portions of Navarro County here, it's about to go right across 45, or at least get close to 45 here. So just be prepared for that. Let's see, reports of quarter-size hail in the Dawson area reported by emergency management. So yeah, again, nickel to quarter-size hail is the only kind of confirmation that we have received from this area, that coming from emergency management down in Navarro County. So we're fortunate that we've not had hail larger than that in these storms, but that's still hail that you have to pay attention to at this point. So if we zoom in on that again, we kind of talked about those areas that we're getting the storm next. This is southern Navarro County. So from Wortham in parts of Limestone County to Richland, Angus, on over towards eventually Curvin. And you can see Richland Chambers Lake here. So I would say for Richland Chambers Lake, I think that, this southern, this southern fork of Richland Chambers may get some of the heavier parts of this storm, but I think most of it probably goes south of that area. So Eureka, you may still get some heavy rain, a lot of lightning and thunder with this, but I think the hail core will probably stay south of the Eureka area, south of Mildred, certainly south of Corsicana over the next several minutes. So just to kind of give you an idea of what is expected there. And we'll take another look at those hail cores just to kind of see how they're doing. So the hail cores are still there south of Corsicana. I'll say I don't think that they're too terribly intense at this moment. I think that we're looking at hail cores that are probably, if I had to guess, this hail is probably kind of stagnant at this point. I don't think it's doing a whole lot in particular. And then we'll take a look at the winds as well, kind of get an idea there. And still some gusty winds there as this kind of starts moving in to Wortham and Richland and south of Corsicana there in Oak Valley. Definitely, gusty winds, but I don't see anything that has me immediately too concerned about rotation or anything like that. Not at this moment. It's always possible with a storm like this, but I'm not immediately concerned with anything that I'm seeing at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap up live coverage here. Need to make sure that the kiddo is going to get picked up from school, all that kind of stuff. Going to give me a chance to take a breather here. So we still have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for, another 4 minutes here. So I'm sure they'll issue a new severe thunderstorm warning fairly soon for parts of Navarro County. It looks like this storm is probably on kind of the minimum side of a severe thunderstorm at this point. Quarter-size hail, about 60-mile-per-hour winds maybe as that continues on. So it's a heavy storm, but at this moment, not looking too terribly intense right now. That will continue on south of Corsicana and then eventually move out of our area farther to the southeast into Limestone and Freestone County there. There's that new warning. So here's the thing. So now they have, that's interesting, they have, maybe I won't wrap up here, these things, they love to hear me say that, and then they go, no, wait, hold on, watch this. So now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and this one has been expanded a little bit northward. So I wonder if they're expecting maybe some stronger winds in the Corsicana area as this thing rolls through. I'm not really expecting much in Corsicana, but that area, sometimes they'll include a city just to kind of get that city on guard in case something happens. But I think for the most part, the heaviest part of that storm will stay south of there. So this is the new warning through 4:30 p.m. So that's going to be for about another hour there. So really, this is going to be just south of Oak Valley here. This is the storm, just went through the Dawson area, so that's going to continue on. Looks like it's moving due east here. So instead of moving southeast, it's just moving due east. So we talked about Wortham, we talked about Richland there, Streetman, those areas will get this severe storm moving through. The warning goes all the way to Kearns, but I'm thinking that Kearns probably won't see the severe part of this storm. That would be my guess here. Let me check in on something. You know, something that it's funny, something that I've noticed here is that these storms love to take their time moving through Navarro County. I feel like it moved through Hill County fairly quickly. Man, when these things get to Navarro County, and maybe you guys can vouch for this, but it seems like when they get to Navarro County, they slow down for some reason. I'm not sure what the deal is there. And let's see. Moving east at 40. So that actually is moving quite quickly. So maybe it's actually starting to pick up the pace, but it just seems like they take a while to move through parts of Navarro County. Luke Strange with Cool Hand Electric. Can you ask the rain to stop while we're working outside? I really, I really wish I could. Trust me, if I could control the weather, I would make it so much easier on my schedule. No joke there. And any concern for Streetman? I mean, you are in a severe thunderstorm warning at this point, but I wouldn't say that there's really too much concern there. Let me just make sure that we're talking, that we're getting plans figured out here. Taylor ate a lot. Yes, you're right on the line, and that's what we were just talking about, Taylor. That you're kind of on the line in that warning in Kearns, but I'm not really expecting, I'm not really expecting much in Kearns. I think they may have just done a precautionary kind of adjustment here for the Kearns area for Corsicana and Kearns, but it still looks like it's going to go south of that area. David, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. You know, they say I say I'm gonna try to wrap it up, and the storms are going, no, we still have plans. We're still gonna keep you going here. So they like to keep me busy for sure. One way or the other, they will keep me working. But this storm moving about 40 miles per hour, so arguably it's moving faster than it was before. Araceli, you're asking, are we, let's see here, hold on. Several towns coming up now. From Milford all the way to Payne Springs, people asking about, storms in that area. Everything is going to be south of those areas. So I'm not expecting, well, let me clarify that. So you may have showers and thunderstorms the rest of the evening. Behind this particular line, I think it's still possible that we could be looking at, some showers and thunderstorms behind this complex. But once this moves out of here, I think we're done with the severe weather for the evening. So just to kind of show our area, we do have more showers, possibly a thunderstorm developing farther to the west. Those will blow through, so we'll still have some off and on rain as we go through the rest of the evening. But the bulk of the severe weather threat, certainly the bulk of the heavier activity, moving through now, I think that's done and out of here, and that will pretty much take the severe weather threat with them as we go forward here. So that's kind of the setup. We have the severe weather going through right now through the really the southern half of Navarro County here. There's that update. So we're starting to move into the Wortham area, and I will say too that it looks like the Eureka area could get part of this. It still looks like it may go just south of Eureka, at least as far as that hail core. This particular storm kind of taking on its own shape and its own direction here, moving more eastward, kind of due east at this point. So I would say, it's going to continue on to the east, may clip Eureka there, may clip parts of Richland Chambers Lake. I would say the Richland Chambers Lake up closer to the Kearns area, though, probably going to stay south of there at this point. But it is going to just cruise right on through southern Navarro County here, and then we will see what that eventually does as we go forward the next several minutes here. But once this round of severe weather is out of here, then we will be looking at that going forward. Let's see. Renee, you said your daughter is traveling through there on 35 to Louisiana. Is that storm southeast of 35? Yeah. So I mean, this is definitely east of I-30. This is on really hitting I-45 at this point. So, I mean, Renee, I'm not really sure where you're looking, but yes. So just to kind of orient you, I'm not sure if you're from this area or not. But, you know, I-35, it's east of 35, north of Waco. Now, south of Waco, it's right along the highway, the interstate there. But this is what we're paying attention to that's in my area. That's 45. So it kind of depends on where you're talking about there. So, you know, to figure out where that is in relation to 35 just kind of talks about what part of that interstate you're referring to there. So these storms, this is southern Navarro County here, so moving towards Angus, towards Richland, moving through the Wortham area right now. So that's the part of the storm where, again, we've been seeing the hail core. So far, kind of a modest hail core. It looks pretty intense on the radar here, but yeah, I mean, you look at there just to the east of Richland there. Now, Shalina, if you're talking about 35 to Louisiana, sometimes they're going to take 35 and then connect somewhere. I'm not really sure. I kind of had the same question. I would think that she may take 45 and then go on down from there, but not really sure what the planned route is there. So, yeah, not really sure what all the details are there, but, you know, not sure. So just east of Richland there. So that is where we are looking at that smaller hail core there, where that storm continues to move on to the east. So that hail core headed right for the Richland area now. And you can see that pretty clearly here on radar. So that will continue to move on to the east here. And again, radar's estimating this around 40 miles per hour, which is a pretty good clip at that point. So if we're watching this, that will continue on towards the Richland area, may threaten parts of Eureka here. I still think it's going to go kind of south of Eureka, but if it tries to take a little bit of a left turn there, not very common thing to do, but it could kind of move a little bit farther north, then it could threaten parts of that area as we go forward. So at this point, I'm just kind of going to do just kind of a recap here. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 8 o'clock tonight. However, once this complex moves out, I think that pretty well wipes out the severe weather threat for tonight. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that go until 4:30 p.m., stretching from Navarro County on south. And then once this is out of here, I don't think that we're done with rain completely, but I think that the most of the widespread rain and the heaviest thunderstorms will be out of here, but we could still see some off and on showers and thunderstorms as we go through the rest of the evening here. So I don't think that we're completely done at that point, but I think we will have moved at least the severe weather threat out of here, and that will make things a little easier to tolerate overall. So we'll get zoomed in here as this is just moving into the Richland area, and Angus just moved through Wortham there. And again, Eureka, I think you may just get clipped by this. Probably stay south of Mildred, south of Corsicana here. Looks like it will probably stay south of Currens as well. But southern Navarro County, and looks like this storm may be in another kind of weakening trend here. So it just doesn't look very intense at this point, but we'll continue to monitor it as we go forward. And Renee, you're saying she pulled over somewhere in Temple. So I guess the Temple Buc-ee's, but I'm not sure what part of Louisiana she would get to from there, because that's headed down to Austin. So I would think if you're going to Louisiana, I-45 at least would be an easier, way to go. But not sure what there's probably a plan there that I just don't know. But just kind of just kind of trying to think through the route there as far as what might be going on weather-wise. But yes, pretty intense storms right now in the Temple area, and she may just need to give time for those to alleviate as we go forward. So Renee, okay, so she's driving north on 35, and then okay, got it. I was thinking driving south, but okay, makes a little more sense now. Chris Bolt, ever heard of a suit? If you're asking me to wear a suit, no. Renee, yeah. So, so you're welcome. So hopefully, trying to give you some helpful information there. So I mean, this storm, we'll see the velocity views here. I'm sure are probably going to show. Yeah, we still have some gusty winds there, and then Kimberly, no severe weather for Red Oak today, well south of there. Um, Chris Bull, what kind of meteorologist gives the weather in jeans? I do. And besides, I'm not a credentialed meteorologist technically, and I'm not working for a TV station, so I can wear whatever I want. Um, just be glad I'm not like in a wife beater or something. Uh, I mean, come on. But Chris, I'm sure your fashion advice is solid, but you know, I'm not sure you're really that too concerned with that. What's Virginia Beach's weekend forecast? I don't know. Go ask somebody in Virginia Beach. I'm not over there, so. But these gusty winds here, I don't think these are severe winds necessarily. I would say this is 40, 45 miles per hour here, so gusty winds, but not too terribly intense at this point. From Richland down towards, going to be moving towards Curvin. So the winds have at least calmed down in this particular storm. The hail also probably not as intense at this time. Yeah, you can definitely see those hail cores are losing some of that steam so far moving. So as this is moving towards Richland, things are kind of calming down there just a little bit for you. So for southern Navarro County, that is at least a good sign. So that's continuing to move towards the Richland area. And if you're west of this, you have some more rain there in southeastern Hill County there, southwestern portions of Navarro County clearing out. So there's some rain there, but hey, we'll see what this is going to do as we continue on. But those areas ahead of this line, you still have that severe weather threat. But if you're behind this line, yeah, I think you're done for the night with that severe weather threat. Still some showers, could be a thunderstorm or two, but the severe weather threat is gone with this line. That's the good news, that it's taking this with it. So you can go on, enjoy the rest of your Friday night there, and go on forward. And again, if you're in the area where we actually cover, then you have a chance of watching the Arlington Renegades tonight playing football, and they do a great job. And some commentary about road routes there, that kind of thing. See, Bruceville Eddie reporting penny-sized hail. So yeah, I've not seen any official hail reports here that have been anything less than pocket change hail. So quarters, pennies, nickels, that kind of thing. So haven't really seen any really intense hail today. That's been the nice part about all this. And again, you can see that this storm here looks to be on a weakening trend here. I imagine it's the storms farther south that are going to start to kind of take, oh yeah, you can see farther south of here from south of Groesbeck on towards Temple. Very strong storms there. And then the one to the north right here in Navarro County, kind of starting to lose a little bit of its intensity there. Now, west of our area from Whitney to Cleburne, west of there, seeing a few of those little guys light up. I'm not really expecting severe weather from those. I'll keep an eye on them, but I'm not expecting a whole lot of severe weather from those little guys. But I do think that we could see a few more thunderstorms in our area. And let's see, Terry Gillen, what about the Riesel area? So, you know what? Hold on just a second. I'm going to look up something that just came. I'm not going to say what it is, but look up something that just came up in the chat session there. No, okay, then I'm not going to worry about it then. Okay, back to this. So the Riesel area, you're over in McLennan County. Looks like McLennan County right now, most of the severe weather has moved out of there. May still be looking at some heavy rain, lightning and thunder there. But yeah, I'm not, at this point, looks like Riesel will be calming down fairly quickly in the next several minutes here because the severe threat has moved out of your area. That's more towards Marlin and Groesbeck right now. So Riesel area, looks like you had some pretty heavy storms there, but those have since moved out, and you're going to start kind of calming things down fairly soon there in McLennan County. But again, looking at our core areas here, really the only storm left in our core area is this one south of Corsicana. Looks like that one's on a weakening trend here, and I mean it could pick up steam, but I would imagine as it makes its way through the rest of the southern portion of Navarro County here, probably going to be on the weakening trend here. So as that moves into Richland, things may still be loud, probably still some gusty winds there, but may not quite be as intense as we go forward. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up coverage. Hopefully that doesn't spook anything into happening here. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live coverage, give myself a chance to kind of take a breather here. And if you are south of our area, definitely continue watching the conditions across central Texas here. The severe weather threat continues. The severe weather threat for our immediate area is not too terribly concerning at this point. Right here between Dallas, Fort Worth, and Waco, that's our primary coverage area, and nothing too terribly concerning there at this time. And as I mentioned, as this moves out, I think the severe weather threat does too. Thank you so much for tuning in. More updates are to come from South Metro Weather. I'll continue to monitor this as it moves through, but that will move out, and I think we will be just left with some showers and thunderstorms, just spotty showers and thunderstorms as we go through the rest of the evening.